Shut the front door. It's already episode 34. We got Kaplan and DDK alongside Chris Puckett, your host tonight. Kaplan, that flow is ridiculous. How we feeling in Italy?
I'm feeling good, man. I've got about 12 mosquito bites already, and summer hasn't even started yet. So
Okay.
I'm kind of delicious for the mosquitoes out here, which is why I stay indoors. But it's going all right. How about you? No one ever asked you how you're doing, Puckett.
I was told that mosquitoes find us by our stink. Something weird about that. I'm doing all right. I just got back from Maine. DDK, Maine has American bald eagles, the most graceful bird on the planet, but it doesn't have internet. So I couldn't play any Deadlock, and I was thinking about that quite a bit. I played 3 games last night from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. I'm sleep deprived, but I'm ready for tonight's show. Have you been grinding?
I haven't actually. I've been dude. I've been addicted to using Claude Code to build things. But I'm actually curious, Puckett, because I know you're trying to play a lot of Deadlock right now. What is it about Deadlock that kind of makes you just want to just constantly spam games? Because a lot of people will get into this right now. Like a lot of people are rediscovering that this game is actually super addicting. I'm curious what it is for you.
I think it's like losing the game just makes you so mad. You got to instantly re-queue. Dying to like a parry is an instant, like, I'm just going to charge back out and probably die on this next life. No, the game is incredibly rewarding, especially when you get away with a close fight, especially a 1v1 for me. And I like the challenge of learning all the new characters. The items, it's a little overwhelming, I'll be honest, Kaplan, but I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to understand it. I have to watch a lot of Deathy and Metro streams, and of course, watching the pros tonight. We'll find out what is the most recent meta. Let's talk about the format though, because we've got some familiar teams. And last week there was a lot of drama around these Ruskis, the Russians, the Abrahams came in. They went with the mid lane strategy that gave them some extra souls. We decided that wasn't fair. Yoshi decided it wasn't fair. He fixed the game while we were live on the show, and we went on to see Loki W win last week. But now we have Abrahams versus Leviathan in the opening rounds. Let's start here with that matchup. What are we excited about in this showdown, Kaplan?
A fair game. First of all, I think is what I'm kind of excited about in this one. I'm kind of interested to see how Abrahams is going to bounce back and kind of what their take is on the recent changes, because Celeste has been hit a little bit here or there. We've seen some slight buffs to McGinnis, which Abrahams has played in the past, but I think this is for them more of a redemption arc, because Loki W, I didn't really necessarily expect them to win multiple weeks in a row, and Abrahams, they're used to being the top dog in EU.
You know, they could be like John Jones early in his career. They have a loss, but it's only because it was a disqualification. They beat the crap out of their opponent in a cheating way. We'll talk about these players in just a moment, but first we got to give a shout out to our sponsor. We've got 2 of them, and the big one is Shopify. Shopify coming on board and helping us out in a big way. DDK, we got Shoppy joining the show once again.
Yeah, Shoppy's here to deliver the good vibes. I think, Shoppy's always a good omen. And I'm really happy to see Shoppy dancing around. It brings the light of life back into my life.
Kaplan, for anyone who missed last week's show, can you tell us a little bit about Shopify? Who are they? What do they do?
You know what? Shopify is here in a major way helping support the Deadlock scene. I think they saw us out there. Shoppy, calm down. I'm talking right now, okay? This is my part. They came in and saw us, put on some Deadlock shows, and they wanted to support us. In doing so, they enabled us to get our biggest weekly prize pool to date. So in each region, it's now $1,250, up from the $1,000 before. And the really cool thing about Shopify is I think they saw in us of taking this idea of wanting to put on some of the best Deadlock content we can, get the best teams going head to head, and really support Deadlock earlier on, and taking this idea and turn it into existence. And that's something that Shopify can help you with as well, taking an idea that you have and turn it into a real business and make it really easy for you to sell online. And I think they also have one of the coolest features out there. They have Sidekick to kind of let you focus on you and let it handle the rest. So you focus on what you do best. Don't worry about any of the business aspects. It's there to assist you and help promote you and help you do your best. And you can focus on what you enjoy and what you would like to do with your life. So a big shout out to them, really helping us out here. You can do !Shopify and learn some more over in our chats.
I'm pretty lazy. I love AI helping me out, making life a little bit easier. DDK, we've got a good matchup on our hands. Let's give a shout out, though, to the people who have helped us get this far. It's episode 34 of The Night Shift. Before this show, we did a different show. We don't talk about that, but we do talk about the people who gave us some of the big money early on. All of the residents coming in with the $5 donations. The shift chiefs came in with $10. Our Patreons with $25 are our shift managers, but it's really the executives and the board board members that allowed us to increase the prize pool and give these players something to fight for every week.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a grassroots effort, and it has been for so long, and so it's really rewarding that you guys have trusted us and to in the product to support us so that we can keep going. And I hope, hopefully just over time this will just grow and grow and grow. This is not going to be, I think, a short journey. I think this game is really epic, and it's just great to have you all along for the ride.
Shout out Tetsio as well, one of our board members. I was watching a Deathy video and his name was on a big old whiteboard. He must have been donating in that stream as well. Tetsio putting Deadlock on the map financially. Who's going to win our money tonight? It's time to find out. And we've got some bonus pay, some pick priority, and some items to discuss. Kaplan, when it comes to the characters, who's getting played and what are they playing for when it comes to the money tonight?
Well, obviously $12.50 plus any additional donations. We also have our bonus pay on the side, which I believe is currently 0 over in EU because LokiW did dethrone and claim the bounty before it. I believe it has been updated from last week where they did defend their title. So EU bonus pay should be at about 100 right now, which means if Abrahams or Leviathan come into the money match and they take one map off of them, they get half of that amount. They take the entire series, they get the obviously weekly prize pool plus the 100 on top of that. So it's a little bit of extra to help teams chase the top of the table and kind of knock down our returning champions week after week after week. When it comes to heroes, man, Mirage. Are we still gonna see Mirage? We're still gonna see Venator. I don't think we're gonna see any big changes when it comes to meta necessarily here, Dan. I don't know if you have any different thoughts.
I don't have any different thoughts. I think we will probably see a bit more crystallization. Although, I mean, it's Deadlock, so you kind of never know. There are always so many different things that can kind of go under the radar that some of the teams might be experimenting with and could pull out. I mean, I could see a world where Viper comes out. I think Viper's been a little bit, not necessarily undervalued, but I think maybe not finding a place in the draft because I've seen her being used to great effect. So I think Viper, if I had to throw, a hero out there that I could hazard a guess might be making an appearance today.
Who's got the best movement on the slippery snake? Because I had the most annoying Viper in my game. We haven't seen it a ton at the pro level, but knowing these guys' movement, they got to be able to just abuse it. Hey, pretty girl. You need help with your sauce? I got you.
I think we're most likely to see it on NA if we do see it. I don't think EU plays it that often, but I don't think we're gonna see it though, Dan, because the only player that I've seen using it is Gibbs. That's mostly been in scrims, and he's actually done extremely well on Viper, to be fair. So I was kind of hoping to see them get a chance to bring it out.
We saw a lot of Shiv last week. Lady Geist was 2-8, but apparently she's still a good character. That's yet to be seen. No, honestly, she's got a great kit. She seems pretty strong. Just statistically has not found favor on our show. Let's take a look at the people who have. I feel like Venator may have the highest success rate. If not, the Kelvin was pretty dominant in last week's performances. Silver was getting in a lot of games as the bans were hitting Mirage. Any expectations for change, DDK, from last week to this week? Does Apollo get played 6 times?
I mean, so Celeste did get kind of adjusted quite a bit, some nerfs and so on. So maybe less Celeste because she was so in focus, I think at the top position of wanting to pick or ban her, that I could see Celeste actually fall off of the high value that she had previously. Mirage has some changes too. I don't know if it's going to be significant enough to remove his priority. I think, to be honest, one thing I missed as well is Victor. We didn't really talk about Victor, but Victor did get quite a few buffs, and I think there's going to be much more of an argument to bring him back into play.
Victor, devastating. Or is he just going to suck again? We'll find out. We've got our rosters ready to go. Let's introduce you to the players and, of course, who is going to be on each side of the fight. We got Sonya Sniper together, Saint Taz, Arzo, and ZXC Bobby. They haven't lost a game, but they've been DQ'd for running down mid together. Today, they're going to be playing 2 per lane. Who's got the strongest lane? Who do you like to see paired up here, Kaplan?
I think from what we saw in NA last week, I'm looking towards Together to kind of be a mid-game tempo player for them. I think also, forget Together. I'm gonna go back on my statement here. I'm gonna look at Arzo and Bobby because coming into this roster, it is very difficult to do in such a short amount of time. They've had so much tenure across the board of these 4 players that they're now coming into play with. They're playing against the best teams in EU as well. And obviously Bobby and Arzo we've seen in the past with, I believe, Fearless Furies, but they've never really had the success to actually take wins and to take titles, and now they have to do so with the champion-studded lineup by their sides. But for them, they need to have a good game, I'd say, because we know Saint together, Sonya and Tass are going to have good matches. It's about the other two.
And of course, on the other side of this fight, we've got Leviathan once again. This is OC's Overseas Size, Irazumi, Rake, and Fremok. A lot of people are talking about Zergy right now in the chat. Dan, he's actually playing for Low Key W, our returning champions tonight in place of Empty Dreams.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. You know, Empty Dreams, big shoes to fill. I'm not sure if you've been seeing any scrims, Jason? What's your read on it?
I've not seen any scrims, but bro, it's Zergy. He's the trackball master. And honestly, for me, Empty Dreams wasn't an M1 carry player. He was more of like the spirit carry that he was slotted into the M1 carry role within Low Key W. So honestly, I think it's definitely an easy upgrade for them to actually take. How well is he going to play in scrims with a limited amount of time is another question.
Now, when I first joined the Deadlock scene, Zergy was constantly the MVP. You talked about his trackball, his incredible accuracy, but he was also playing characters like Seven that didn't seem like they required a ton of accuracy. Can he bring Seven back in the meta? If not, what else is in Zergy's repertoire? Because I know this game is not quite ready. We got a little bit of time to fill here, Kaplan.
Venator, Mirage, like you give him any M1 hero, I think he can do God's work with it. I think even Geist, if you want to give him that as well. I think the interesting thing is we didn't see him in the later stages of Buff Enjoyers. The meta wasn't in favor of having like a strong M1 hero to carry a game. We didn't really see Wraith. We didn't really see Seven. We didn't really see the normal status quo when it came to when they had the rise and success. So that's kind of come back now into the mix, seeing things like Venator, seeing things like Mirage being played. Also, Infernus is definitely in his kit, and we've seen a lot more of him over the last few weeks. So I think this meta actually does favor him decently well. But I am curious, when we get to those games later on with Low Key W, are they going to get him a comfort hero early on in these picks?
It'll be a best of 3 when we get to that grand final. This, though, is a best of 1, and we're going to be kicking it off with a Mo 1v1. DDK, the draft is something that we really focus in on here on the night shift, and it all begins with this fight. For those that are new, break it down. What are we watching here from the Abrahams and Leviathan?
So, I mean, you got to win the 1v1 to get your choice of whether you're going to pick first or second. And it's pretty important. Depending on the meta, one could favor the other. Depending on the team you're drafting against, one could favor the other because of how the bans will go across in the priority.
Razumi's getting beat down from the back. It's gonna be Saint who remains unbeaten. The best mowing krill hands in the game. He's got to be 20-0 on the show. We actually don't know. But we're going to start compiling this statistics, and we're going to start putting a bounty. No more bonus play or pay if you just win the tournament. You have to like beat Saint in a 1v1. Leviathan, they are going to go with the first ban, which means Abrahams are going to be able to get a pick right away. Let's get into this with Infernus is going to be locked out. The Bernie boy prioritized early here by EU, at least making sure he doesn't see the field. What's that all about, DDK?
I mean, it's interesting because Infernus hasn't really been changed all that much. He's good. I actually think that people are undervaluing him. I think that what we're kind of seeing is the correction, maybe an overcorrection. We'll have to find out.
People remembered. Oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and I do think there's a lot of. I think people are mostly going for not like the dash build, but a dash build is kind of viable as well. But it's more of a traditional build with just a catalyst and a couple at one point into the afterburn. Because you get the plus 16 DPS off of that. So just a really annoying hero that can kind of be active throughout the entirety of the game.
Now, Abrahams, they decided to let Leviathan ban first and pick first. This rewards them with back-to-back picks. So, Kaplan, what are you going with here?
If we're going to find out if we still have value on Celeste, I would say Celeste would definitely be a top 2. Maybe Silver as well. I think a Silver Celeste wouldn't be necessarily bad. And I think...
Is Mirage still good? Because he got banned out constantly.
Yeah, he's
I think
still
we might see no Celeste today. I got a feeling, Jason, that because usually people overreact to nerfs. So,
well, they nerfed her. So they made her have no longer negative bullet resist, but they also nerfed her M1 damage early in the game. But it gets back on track later on. So she's kind of like she doesn't do as much damage, but she's not as weak early. So they did definitely tweak her a bit when it came to like the numbers on her. But a Shiv, I mean, yeah, it's Abrahams. Why would we not see a Shiv come through?
The ult damage was increased as well, so it wasn't all bad as well. But yeah, shit, that's still really good. I love the golden egg into the decay. It's actually a really awesome build.
This is so weird though. But we saw for what 4 weeks at least Billy heavily prioritized over Abrams, and then in the last 2 weeks alone, Abrams has kind of come back into play. I think it's been more of the Siphon like the one ability, putting a little bit of spirit around that because you have extra longevity in these fights, and of course, Phantom Strike does give you somewhat of an initiate that maybe Billy. Well, I mean Billy can obviously with Chain Gang, but the lash on top of that as well. I mean, you're already looking to set things up here for Leviathan.
Yeah, I think the Phantom Strike is a really great point because it does turn Abrams into a super nasty pick later that in a way that Billy doesn't have that.
Guys, how did you let Mirage go 6th here? I feel like if I'm Abrahams and I was watching last week's games, I'd say they've already won this game.
I mean, my guess is you see Venator, probably not gonna pick Mirage with Venator. You're probably not gonna go like the double M1, so you can kind of afford to leave it a little bit later and go for something like Shiv, which is definitely highly prioritized. A Viscous ban as well. Like I guess that's over towards Psy.
I mean, Viscous is good. You know, like it has a lot of utility. I suppose maybe it's the case that I guess the save. I mean, I'm not really sure if this is like a targeted ban or like a general thing, or if there's something in the meta that's developed over the last few days, as that does tend to happen. But a Geist gets banned, and that's actually quite a nice ban as well, I think. So you can definitely play Geist as kind of the off carry alongside them. You know, if you have the Mirage as the main kind of solo M1 carry.
I mean, I'm happy to see it actually banned because I hate seeing overseas play it. I just feel like they don't put him in a position to succeed with Geist. Whereas if OCs was playing it, which we now know he's going to be on Venator, he definitely plays more of a late game carry with her. So I'm just happy to see it, honestly. But with the Sinclair being picked this early on, I mean, so this is going to be a steal on what? Death Slam, so you're going to have to build into a Majestic Leap if you want to have success there. Even Era Domini can do a lot of damage on top of this. But
Celeste is in.
There we go.
I was going to ask chat, does Celeste make it in tonight? She breaks into the first game. She's going as pick 8. Mirage went as pick number 6. And keep in mind, Silver and Shiv were prioritized by Abrahams, with Venator being the very first pick. We take a look here at the remaining. What do you build here if you're Leviathan? You got 2 spots. Haze is not something we've seen a ton of. Is that the buff? Is it nerfs? What have we seen in the recent patch?
So she did get the most changes and a full rework, and it's interesting because I don't think it really affected the super top level of play because it's kind of the alt builds that were just ravaging every other level of play, but that you didn't really see that in the pro level. So I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm just reading the patch changes real quick. Yeah, the Sleep Dagger basically got better, essentially. So you can do a lot more catch and pick with Haze than previously. And I think the Smoke Bomb and the Gangs is just generally amped up as well. Have I missed anything, Jason, that's more significant?
Bullet Dance, man. The Bullet Dance was changed. It's no longer a 360-degree angle. It's now a cone, so you have to be actually accurate with the way you go about it. It means you can fight a Haze when she's ulting if you get behind her and there's multiple targets. You have to choose who you want to kill as well. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how you play around that as a Haze. Is there a role to see Ricochet come back into the mix to kind of feed off of that? Is Ricochet maybe like an item that you have to get as a core item for her to make your ultimate act that way? I don't know, but this is cool to see that, you know, Haze gets hit with some changes and we get to see her finally played again.
How would you describe these two teams? Leviathan going for burst damage, a lot of sleeps and picks, or what are we breaking down? What are we expecting here in the early game, DDK?
I think in the early game, yeah, you got a lot of roam potential and macro potential from Leviathan, and pressure as well. You know, Lash, Celeste, Abrams are going to be really nice to harass. Haze also very good in that respect. Frem can help to push lanes, and then because a lot of the game is ensuring that Venator can farm with the least pressure possible to like really come online. So I think if you're talking about the early game, I think that's a really big objective that they have. I think in the other end of things with Abrahams, you know, there's a lot of, obviously Mirage is really amazing because of the 30 seconds cooldown on the ult, which allows him to kind of be anywhere at any time while still heavily farming, and you can still get really active with Silver and Ivy. Ivy has like also amazing mobility and macro potential. So the Mirage Ivy combo there gives them lots of macro options, and then Yamato has a lot of catch and gank ability, especially I think. But the harder to deal with here is like Celeste and Lash. You know, I think Yamato's going to be really good at bursting them down.
Kaplan, it seems like the chat is most excited about the Haze pick here. They're saying that they're coming in to deny the M1 player on the other side. The cone is seen as a buff by a few players. Does it do more damage? Like, if you haven't played against a Haze in a minute, are you going to be more scared of her or less scared of her this week in episode 34?
I want to kind of say more because like there's also some changes like fixation, which worked really well with bullet dance, so you can kind of get more weapon damage per stack. That was increased by 0.02. But then but then they did, you know, obviously nerf fixation at tier 3 just slightly. So I feel like you could see a lot of early damage. And if I'm looking at like the comp they have too, with Leviathan, you have like Rem and Lash to really set your team up extremely well. You open with a nap time, which also got buffed in this last patch. You hit it with a Death Slam, and then you have, of course, like Venator with a Trap. You have Celeste with a Shining Wonder. You have Haze with a Bullet Dance. Like there's a lot of wombo combo around their composition. And I think more importantly, Haze also has the opportunity to deal really well with Mirage because you're not going to see Haze coming. If you get in there in time, you can get a quick kill onto him as well if you can dodge around the tornadoes. I think there's a lot of potential to use Haze as like a counter to Mirage if you can get those 1v1s.
Yamato, I've heard, has seen some buffs with the new slide changes as well. TDK, do you expect those to come into play after just a week of these pros getting their hands on it?
I think it's a great quality of life change. You mean like where you can like slide at the power slash and stuff like that? Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that'll change things too much, but I think it's a really nice quality of life change. I do think Yamato's a really nice pick because I think just the burst spirit's going to be really good to burst down Rem. I mean, Haze is also kind of squishy as well as is Celeste. Celeste's base HP dropped by like 80 or 90 or something like that, and also Celeste and Lash, they're hard to catch. And with Flying Strike, Yamato is uniquely suited to actually just catch them and do that burst damage. So I think the Yamato pick was really nice here for Abrahams, and that'd actually be for me one of the focal points.
I like these call outs. Chat, keep your comments coming. I'll be reading them out loud throughout the tournament. Reminder, keep those subs coming. If you have Amazon Prime, you have a free Prime sub. Put it to use as we jump into the games. It is Abrahams versus Leviathan, the EU Challenger match here on episode 34.
I like that, Dan. A pre-Prime sub.
A what?
Yeah. No. Yeah, obviously... thank you so much for the support, everyone that does do it with us here over on the night shift as we're jumping into our first match, man. And obviously a little bit of an interesting play when we came to last week if you guys joined us, but I'm curious to see, you know, on an even playing field now, how things are really going to wind out. As Dan, we already do have lanes already set up as one. It looks like it's going to be a Celeste Lash on the left-hand side here for Leviathan with an Abrams Haze in middle, man. Sleep Dagger into a shoulder charge. That's a lot of kill potential.
Yeah, that's very nice setup. I can't wait actually to see how well Sai will do with the Haze. I think with the smoke bomb and the kind of Sleep Dagger to roam and pick potential there is going to be super fun to watch that dynamic play out. And you know, Rem, okay, yeah, look at that. I think have we looked at the Rem? Did we get it last week?
I believe we had it. I think it was Paige we only saw like once. That we didn't get to actually take too much of a look on. But yeah, Rem looks great. I love the new skin, of course, by Ozzy coming in big for us. The Shopify mod on Rem. The little helpers you don't see right now. They have the little sidekick mask too, which is always sick. Does an amazing job.
Good old Rem. Everyone seems to hate Rem. Why do they hate Rem so much, Jason? Because I actually don't hate playing against Rem. What am I missing?
It depends. Are we talking pro play or are we talking like your own games? Because I think in your own games...
It just feels like everybody hates playing Rem in matchmaking.
Because most Rem players will take their own sinners and not enemy sinners, and then you're just taking sinners away from your own carries. Okay. I think that's why they hate them.
Ah, so you're kind of just getting griefed by your teammates. Okay, okay. Yeah, that is actually really funny. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, this Venator lane is going to be really important to make sure that OCs does OCs things. I think, as I highlighted, we've seen this in the past with OCs. If you're able to just play a style where you keep the pressure off of him, he will deliver for you into the late game. And where the team struggle the most, oftentimes, is when OCs just gets like the rest of his team loses control of the pressure in a tempo game, and then OCs gets harassed too much and it doesn't get ahead enough. So. That's something. Hang on, why are we down here? We box running down here? Holy.
Yeah, that's a win condition. Okay.
What is going on, Jason? Why is he going back?
I don't know why they're even skirmishing in this position. Another blade going to be dodged away from. Sai, I think most likely will escape this one. But
what was that?
To go back to your note though of like this late game OCs kind of play, I don't like that to be a win condition for a team. And I think with Rayek on the roster, it's kind of helped ease the pain of OCs being the solo carry within the team. But for that to be your win condition, I feel like is not going to really net you success long term.
I was muted, Jason.
Oh, good.
That's why there was more pause. Yeah, it's a very fair point. And yeah, there's a quick sleep dagger. There's that charge you were talking about. Maybe not the ideal combo. And in terms of the health trades here, not looking actually that amazing for the Leviathan side here in mid. And as we get to the 3:30 mark, you know, you've done most of the box running at this point, for now at least. Players getting back to lanes. Might be a potential gank coming on through here, actually. The Celeste player, Ray, is actually making his way over to that left lane.
Yeah, so I think he's just heading back to his lane, actually, to make sure to not miss it on this farm here, trying to secure that own tier 1 camp. I think Psy's the one I'm looking at when it comes to ganks, since we do see him heading down the left-hand side. It looks like he might even go quickly back here, looking for the rotation, potentially on a Sonya Sniper, which is also something we need to point out, right? It's Arzo on the Mirage. Typically, Sonya Sniper will play the M1 carry for the team, but this is quite a big change in how they normally play here within the Abraham side.
Really an option for them today.
Bit of box running there. Good burst damage coming on through. Okay. Lots of damage out of Fremont. Actually very annoying to lane against a good Lash. Can see monster rounds here on Saints on the Sinclair. If you have a teammate that's doing the box running, you should be buying monster rounds. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. And the reason, by the way, I'm not. You know, this is you know what Pierre told me when he was coaching me for the Content Creator Cup. It's like you got to buy the monster rounds because you're going to be solo against the waves. So you have to be able to like get that damage in so that the wave can't crash onto the tower, and they can't dive you whilst your teammate's box running. That's like one of the main reasons. It's like wave management. So there you go.
Speaking of management, buff management going the way of Abraham's here, securing both buffs, which you can see on the top hand side of our screen now under the Portrait of Together and Sonya Sniper. Big shout out to Tracklock for that one, making that happen. The elevating our broadcasts, trying to see which buff had gone where was impossible before that, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. And it's a big deal too because it can indicate to us, you know, like we talk about power spikes and stuff. Having a buff does definitely give you an advantage over your opponent. So it might create windows where that player might be looking to do something depending on what the buff is. So great that we have the technology now.
And we also now know it's going to be casting Bullet next at the 10-minute mark, which is amazing to have when it comes to that first turn coming up. ODC pressure happening. It looks like it'll be a subtle dive here on Overseas. Well, not so subtle as he shoulder charges back away from the team. Even the signs of impact being thrown in this one just to make sure he can escape. And he will do so. But this Guardian is going to be dropped to at least half HP before any sort of help comes in.
Yeah, so I was coming across again on this haze. And very weak on the... it's Bob on the Shiv, but we'll be able to escape here. This is pretty oppressive, actually, coming in from Abraham's. Doing a lot of work here in this middle lane. And looks like that Guardian is going to go down. Pretty decently fast Guardian, mid-Guardian down. Which is very nice to have, because especially when that first urn is coming up, you want to have that mid-priority. So it just helps, you know, I mean, that's a bit far away at this point, but still, very, very helpful to have mid-priority on the waves. Now you free up those mid-players a little bit too.
It was a big investment about it together to actually stick around for so long to commit to that. Probably because they lost the right-hand Guardian already. And you can see that instead is going to be now Arzo just left the solo farm. So by kind of doing that, you give him a lot of the solo farm here at this point in the game. You allow Together to be a playmaker, which honestly I feel like he is within the Abraham's team, though he has shied away from that in the past. Notice he's already being chased down. Nap time coming on through. The shadow transformation can be used to actually get away from that once the stun doesn't come on in. And Together's actually able to take down the rat. Irazumi goes down, and Together making some big plays now around the map.
Yeah, oh, wow, what on earth was that catch? But there's the save, the catch, and Together's gonna survive on a slither of health. But I do love this about Yamato. You have so much capacity for the early roams and ganks. It's very, very annoying to deal with. Although we'll be back to the fountain for Together for the time being. In the meantime, we're 2 minutes away from that first urn coming out. Still a lot of play here on these side lanes. As we will get the Lycan Curse coming on.
I actually had to correct myself. I didn't realize. Did you notice, Dan? That was actually Saint audience participating that nap time. I didn't realize he actually stole that one away, which is why. Well, no, Arzo was also Slack. I don't know. I'm really confused. I thought I saw Arzo was Slack. Actually, no, it was. I guess we saw 2 nap times being used. But either way, back into the mix here as I try to, you know, get my bearings in this one. Moby does help get down this guard on the left-hand side, and they do make the pressure be seen Potentially looking for the invade onto these centers since we're at the 8-minute mark, and you can already see Sai is wanting to protect these on his side of the map.
Yeah, I love this aggression. This is brilliant work to like try to deal with these sinners, especially again with like as you've like highlighted the Rem on the server. You want to absolutely make sure that Rem is not getting that macro advantage.
I see haze.
And again, there is that mid Guardian advantage that Abrams have at the moment, as the teams are trying to fan out and collect some of these sinners. And they're just taking stock of the pacing for OCs, 8.1k, so doing very well on his side of things. But also even better, 8.7k on the Mirage. So the M1's really going pound for pound at the moment.
Look at
For
Sai.
a minute.
He's on the hunt here, Dan. He's looking for tasks. Stoneformer to come out. He knows Sai's coming. Gets the stun onto him. Sleep Dagger, not even going to be used here. It's going to be the Bolt Dance. You can now slide within the Bolt Dance, if I'm not mistaken, though he doesn't go for it down the ramp. Instead, gets caught by the Tornado. Dust Devil going to be enough to help finish Sai off here, down to just like 10 HP, and eventually going to be finished off by Together once again, participating in these fights all around the map. Continues to go on forward, trying to catch out Overseas once again. And Together, I'm really digging this playstyle for him more and more, honestly, Dan. It feels like the original Together that we used to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Needs to catch up a little bit on the souls though. That's one of the unfortunate realities of the roam, is that you might go a little bit just without the souls per minute that you'd otherwise want, but you can always catch up. It really just depends on what opportunities you're also creating for your team as well. With that said, earn in 10 seconds. See which team is going to be in better set to go for this one. It's pretty light presence. A lot of effort on mid, looking for those bridge buffs, the priority on the bridge buffs first. And there's that earn spawn. Abrahams with the control around that position, as well as the bridge buff. And what are Leviathan going to try to get instead? They're going to try to just get value elsewhere. They're chasing down the M1. They're chasing down Arzo, who is 9.9k at the moment. Able to escape that harass. And now it really is up to Leviathan to try to block this earn.
Whiskey's already making his presence known on his right-hand side, getting that Walker down to below half HP while the earn is being buried across the actual map. It's going to get caught out, though. Bobby coming on through, looking to hit these threaded knives, and an early Dispel Magic coming through actually does net him a cleanse of this one. Only 2 more knives left to throw here for Bobby. He's not going to connect the next one. Surely should be hitting the follows. Actually, no, he was connecting him. Just looks a little bit weird on spec mode. And the earn was dunked while all this was happening by Saint. The macro play around the map, I think they got maybe a mid Guardian, but that was it. They're looking to actually transition to a big hit this left-hand side.
There we go. There it's falls, and Arzo starts to rotate back across to the shop here, the secret shop, and definitely looking like pretty good right now for Abrahams. Like you say, on the macro game's kind of nice, and it's getting a little bit quieter from Together. I think he's been catching up a little bit on the souls somewhat. With all that said, as you mentioned, that Walker on the right side is quite weakened, honestly. That you got to be kind of careful of that at this point. And we're going to get OCs going back onto that right lane. Again, playing it solo. He's going to be up in the 1v1 against Arzo on the Mirage. So 2 M1s will be kind of pushing and pulling on the right side.
I'd say the really rough part about this right now, though, Dan, is you got to look at Sai. 6,000 souls. Hasn't really accomplished anything in the game so far. And to put Sai on a haze to try to bring that out here and not really have the impact you need, like, he can't 1v1 Arzo. I mean, he's half the net worth, 6k to 12k. All he can really do is facilitate a kill with OCs, maybe onto Arzo. So you see him hovering this right-hand side, maybe looking for that catch. But he needs to be able to do something. They need some sort of way to get him back into the game here with the way they currently have things set up. He's just not going to have an impact against anyone. I think he can't necessarily 1v1 anyone against Abrahams, actually, with the current souls he has.
Yeah, I think it's much more of a setup haze, especially with some of the changes, buffing the dagger a little bit, and we also see, it's a balance of who can get the souls as well, and the farm on the team. And I think maybe going to get a bit more prio on maybe the Abrams now and the Celeste potentially, and supporting OCs is incredibly important. Slumming Hex has been online here for Sai also, so that's an option after the dagger lands to try to complete a kill. And a lot of attention on the right side lane at the moment from both teams, as there's a potential push coming on through, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to do too much here. Leviathan can fall back to the Walker, and in the meantime, Mid pressure's coming through, and that might be something that could be problematic, but they'll disperse before a response can be had by Abrahams. So a lot of map presence here for Leviathan, but not getting anything just yet.
Oh, how did he hyperlight? Oh my god! He catches side with the right click. I don't think there was any world side meant to do that, to get on that hyper line, which is kind of why you rebind it, but gets caught out and gets decimated here. And I think the really worrying thing right now for me is when you look at Leviathan's squad, or sorry, I mean, they're not really getting the team fights they want. Abrahams are really able to kind of, you know, keep themselves spread apart to not allow these like big wombo combos to actually land and let this farm to continue to come through for, you know, ours, what, 14K? I mean, even Sonya's at 13K himself. No one's really behind on the side of Abrahams as they're sitting on a 6K lead.
Yeah, it does feel like Arzo's is just like too, he's not being hindered enough. He's just able to kind of do whatever he wants. And that's kind of problematic because he's also mostly out farming OCs. They are equal at the moment, but okay, here we go. We get the catch coming on through, and that could be a really good find to the ults. It's coming out from Hayes, but very underfed. Sai is not able to do maybe as much as he otherwise would have wanted to. And although with that said, you know, they do take down the Shiv, so that's something to be said there for that player. 1-for-1. We do have the urn coming up here, and the wave priority is going to be with Abrahams here. They're going to have all the macro advantage to start capitalizing even further, Jason.
Yeah, I will give credit to Leviathan, even though they are down, albeit only 3K. They've been doing a great job of preventing Abrahams to go for these like split pushes. I mean, you can see they really haven't done too much chip damage on any of these walkers, with mid one currently being the lowest. But they're constantly eating these wave shoves. They're not allowing, you know, Mirage to just do his thing, as well as Ivy, who can get around the map so quickly. And well, right now I think OC's wished he could get around the map a little bit faster here. There's no way he escapes this, right?
Doesn't look like it, but you know, OC's tried. He tried. That's all that counts, Jason. Do you have the urn in play again? And there's the seismic slam. That makes quick work with Sonya Sniper. The focus fire there was super effective. Oh wow, Solomon just subscribed for 8 months.
I saw.
Wow.
At least he's watching the show, even though he's not on the show today.
Yeah, Solomon's typically the lead producer. Got Lotu stepping in today. Right, well, we got the assault. This is that weakened walker that OC's chipped down quite a lot previously. And it looks like it's going to be saved for now, but it's on a slither of health as the urn is being collected. And it will be dunked here by Leviathan. I don't think there's nothing there to stop that. So Leviathan looking to potentially take maybe a lead here after all of these problems. And they're still applying pressure, Jason, to that right side walker. That is going to be gone here. So for all the control Abrahams had, it actually feels like we're getting somewhat of a switch up here for Leviathan for them to take control. And in fact, they've actually been pushed off the urn deposit.
I think that was honestly a great play by Sai. To know kind of the limits he could move on this left-hand side to actually bait them over in that direction. With OC's also picking up a kill and together, this actually might be the play for the Leviathan to get themselves back in the game. And Death Slam going to be coming on through low. I think it was going to be canceled up because Fremont had been eliminated. And now Ars was in the fight. He's got a little bit of protection here as he does get slept off to the side, but no one's really focusing this man down. And the urn back in the hands of Rayek. They're looking to turn this in with this pressure they're applying. Leviathan getting the lead for the first time in this game here. This is really well done on the macro level.
They've been hanging in there. They really have, and it's working out. More skirmishing, though. Neither really teams looking to give this one up. It looks like OC's will fall. That's a great pickup there for Abrahams to find. That's going to force the rest of Leviathan to fall off after that, losing their M1. Position 1. And the waves looking kind of nice here for Abrahams overall. That right side lane getting taken care of.
Let's take out Yamato.
You have Fremont to tangle with Sonya Sniper on the silver, but some assistance is coming together on the Yamatos, moving on through as we see Celeste escaping the two-player hit here onto this left side walker pressure. Abraham's trying to split push at the moment. Very chaotic, actually, but the main fight is towards that right side. Looks like Leviathan are likely going to lose the left side walker. It's getting very, very low at this point as a 3v3 is also happening at the same time on the right side. That walker not under attack just yet. But Abrahams, if they can pick up these kills, they're going around the side. The power slash coming on through, diving behind the walker. OC is chasing them down, able to take down together. Very forward position to potentially punish. Sonya Sniper falls out of the Lycan Curse and trying to leap away. Good movement options on the silver, but that's a snipe there. Iradomini for the finish. And that is a defense there on the right side for Leviathan, but they did lose the left walker.
Great read by OC's there. to actually know the angle they're going to be coming through on. You can see where the majority of the kills are currently sitting. OC's at 4, Together at 4, and the rest of the team is going to be around the 1 or the 0 mark. So 2 players definitely catching the majority of the kills at the moment. But also, what I kind of want to see is maybe we can do the breakdown of net worth across the players and just get an idea of which team has the most players in like top 5. And currently it's going to be 3 for the side of Leviathan, with OC's at 21k. I mean, him and Rake being at 21 and 19k is phenomenal. And then you're on the other side, it's just going to be Mirage and Silver at 19 and about 16 respectively. So this is not really a great sign if you see Shiv at, about 15k here. Bobby's definitely fallen behind with how these fights have broken out.
What's the early thought on the Celeste nerf, boys? Is it real? Chat doesn't think so.
Well, it's interesting because it definitely, I think, you could see it got prioritized less heavily in the drafts, but it does still seem quite effective. And the blinding light, the ult did get better, so it's team fight. The team fight actually is a bit more dangerous now.
And with the mobility that, excuse me, Celeste has as well, you've seen Rake just kind of be a nuisance. And man, on ultimates, it was an airdrop coming through, trying to get a catch on a Rake under the walker. I think the hypermobility of her as a hero in general is just, it's so important to have on a hero because of how aggressive and how many things you can technically bait out. That's going to be a death time coming up through. Stolen by Saint. Going to get a catch onto Overseas. Death time is up though for Fremont. They catch onto one and just throws them away and looks to retreat away from this one, realizing they've overcommitted into this fight.
Huge stuff. Mid push comes on through still though from Abrahams, looking for these fights. However, very defensible position now. Leviathan all grouped up as 4, and together he's really deep position on the Yamato. Going to be forced to find his way back out to back off of that. And just again looking at the waves here, you've got these buffs coming up and major control in middle for Abrahams. They're going to get one of the bridge buffs, looking to play Urn side. I'm pretty sure it's the left side for the Urn.
Yeah, should be. Even numbers are left, odd numbers are right. Also, big shout out to Christiana14 once again. Another donation to the prize pool of $50. I didn't get to see your note, but I'm just gonna assume it's saying thank you, Jason. I love you. You're great. Dan's okay.
Big ups, Christiana, and now into the Urn fight we go. Big team fight here. Lots of ults online for Leviathan. That blinding light is online actually. It's a really big potential threat here. As Together just in that front line, just causing problems, chasing down Abrams in the seismic slam animation. And the power slash is continuing to ward players away, but can only stay out there for so long. Ooh, missing the jump to the jump pad there. I think that's it. Together with just a Crimson Slash, able to stay alive up to 700 HP. The heals coming on through there, and somehow, some way, Together still alive. Surely Together's going to go down here. The rest of the team of Abrahams collapsing on, or rather Leviathan collapsing onto him to take him out, and everybody's still up here for Leviathan. Every ult has been ripped though for both sides.
Yeah, Uzi's been getting so much protection in these fights too. No one's able to get in towards the backline to actually deal with him. Even though Sai went for a questionable bullet dance, which I believe he immediately canceled out on. They're still going to come out ahead of the fight. Sai's going to go for the Urn turn and then probably clean up the right-hand side. I don't think we're quite at the point in the game, though, Dan, for mid-boss to be taken at a fight like this. But I'd say anywhere, at the 24-minute mark is when we have that real possibility of mid-bosses being taken. But honestly, again, positioning. And Overseas, he baited out so much damage. He absorbed so much of it, was able to heal it again with the Siphon Life. And, Arzo kind of joined the fight. I don't want to say late, but you saw Together was hanging on by a thread by the time that Arzo actually appeared.
And I actually feel like, now we're really getting into dangerous territory for Abrahams because Leviathan are very scary. If you think about the late game options they have, OC's obviously great damage output. Like you said, he gets a lot of protection as well in this lineup. The front line's kind of nasty, if you think about how the presence of Abrams, the charge threat, the seismic slam threat, you've got Lash as well. Sai can also do a lot with the sleep daggers for disruption. And once Overseas gets onto that Phantom Strike, it kind of, things kind of really change. It gives a lot of options to open fights in the late game where maybe Lash wouldn't be able to do that as safely.
Damn, look at this spiffy new soul difference tracker we have. with the help of track lock. You can see around that 16-minute mark is when we had that big change-up happen, and Leviathan were able to get ahead in the lead here, and quite a lead it is. 13,000 at one point. Another fight's gonna break off once again here together. Trying to get a connection shot to someone, but there's just everyone in the air. So you can hear the bull dance going off while in the midst of all this fight is taking place. And Fremox will be the first one to go down here. And Abrahams, this is the real opportunity for them to get back in the game here. A big team fight win could turn into a mid-boss and could easily turn into a victory for themselves.
Yeah, the Iradomini ticking in the distance there. As Arzo is trying to reposition here, a bit exposed. You don't want to be fighting out in the open by yourself on Mirage, so we'll get now the re-engage from Leviathan, just dropping in on top of the Abrahams players. And oh no, Bobby's gonna get slept. Yeah, massive.
They kicked on to 4, but there was no follow-up there, Dan. I was expecting actually a kill to come on through. You can see shoulder charge is up, even Scourge being purchased. Help Overseas do extra damage one in the enemy territories. They do get a kill onto together. With him down, actually, there's a real possibility. We could see them go for a mid-boss. No way to really steal. Task would have to come in with a huge stone form to pull this off. And Leviathan are set up for a position to do this here. This is going to be a big commit out of them. They don't have Death Slam. All they have is Seismic Impact to lock this one on down. Abrahams, I think, honestly, have a real chance of contesting this.
I see silver.
They're going to have to try. They really need to get it done. 20 seconds until Together can get online here into this fight. I don't know if that's going to be long enough. Leviathan starting to hit the mid-boss again, but the harass threat is coming back through just time and again, trying to slow them down. Again, if they can buy time for Together, I don't know if he's going to have Shadow Form online, but there's a good possibility that he might be able to, but instead, looks like the Rejuve Crystals will drop here, and the delay maybe not quite good enough here. They'll try to do everything they can to steal away these Rejuve Crystals to drop on top of it, and we get 3 Rejuve Crystals for Abrahams. Absolutely massive work. I cannot believe it. And Together's going to be back into the fight as well. Shadow Form is going to be an option. Massive swing potential in this fight here for Abrahams to get back into this game. And there goes Ray Aiken. 2 players are down for Leviathan. They are fully routed at this point. They've got to get out of this fight. I don't know if they can fully disengage, though. They're getting pushed sideways across the map as the fight continues. And the pursuit is there. And speaking of pursuit, what is that? The flying strike doesn't obey the laws of physics. And that is just disgusting. And I don't know if Sai can escape this one. Into the teleporter he's going to go, but going with him is Together, Jason.
I think it doesn't obey the laws of physics, but maybe quantum physics is what we're seeing there, man. That, I don't know how the hell you hit that fine slash like that. But what a throw out of Leviathan. I mean, Overseas, he was tanking the mid-boss. He was down below half HP when they finally picked it off. And how the hell are you going to survive against 5 players of Abrahams there to contest you? He tries to go for the Seismic Impact to actually dislodge anyone off of the Rejuve. But he goes early, pulls the trigger too early. Stoneform connects after that from Task, and then they had 3-4 players of Abraham surrounding the Rejuve Crystal to secure it. Leviathan, that was a massive throw, and honestly, I think they didn't necessarily need to go for mid-boss there, even though they had the opportunity. A little bit slow to go. And they gave Abrahams every chance to get back in this game now. An urn going to be turned in off the back of this. That soul lead is quickly gonna displace and disperse.
Yeah,
that's a big mental hit for Leviathan.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because the scaling to me feels very scary from Abrahams as well. I think, you know, the potential for Silver, for Yamato, Shiv, Mirage to be really problematic on more even footing soul-wise. We'll see how that goes because another fight breaks out here. Abraham's, you know, happy to take this fight. They have the numbers and, of course, the Rejuve Crystal as well. So, got to be careful with the harass, and Fremog maybe going a little bit too far for that one. Gets taken out. And there's that mid-walker. It will be claimed. So, Abrahams will lose that. So, that's a nice snipe coming through from Leviathan to try to stay active, to try to reduce the amount of value from these Rejuve Crystals.
I mean, it is 2 walkers now for them, so they have the flex shot advantage, though I don't know if they have the economy to actually use it. Is that a counter nap time coming on through? No, it wasn't. It was actually, I don't know how the hell Together actually ranged that one. He doesn't have counter spell. Then he gets the flying strike on top of Irazumi and a quick kill onto the rat. And now Abraham's turned the aggression that Leviathan just had against them, taking their own mid-walker. Maybe a push on the right-hand side as well.
This game is opened right up here. No cooldowns really for Together. I think Together was queuing up Return Fire earlier. I think we might see more Return Fire, especially with some of the changes. More bullet damage from the haze. So 60% I think on the Return Fire now instead of 50%.
Yep, and they reduced the cooldown by 2 seconds. So I think it was actually Bobby who got one earlier on. You have a couple of metal skins being picked up, and oh my gosh, look at the damage Ars is able to do up against Overseas. It's not quite heavy just yet, but he just have escalating. All he needs to do is hit these Scarabs. They dispel magic, so Scarab's really going to start stacking the damage on through, but obviously Overseas, he wants to get this Walker down, and Arzo can't really defend against it by himself. It'll get a hell of a lot of damage and at least force a kill or two before they can get away with this one.
Yeah, just completely ignoring him. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. That Jin's Mark just deletes Psy. Very squishy, especially at the soul disparity that still exists. Much more fighting here on this left side. There's Lycan Curse coming on through the Sanya snipers, so you don't want to mess with that. And after all is said and done, you know, with those Rejuve crystals, still 3 Rejuve crystals up at this point. All the walkers cleaned up. The soul disparity, I mean, they were behind like 25k souls, I think, at least. And now they are up a few K themselves. So I don't know. I don't know how this game's going to go, Jason. How do you feel about the scaling difference between Abrahams and Leviathan?
Well, I talk about that. Can we actually see the soul difference once again? Because you're talking about like the disparity of souls between the teams, and I want to see this roller coaster we got going on as Abrahams have swung it back in their favor, albeit but not that much, but still almost 15, 16k soul swing is massive for Abrahams around that mid boss. But when it comes to scaling, I mean, obviously Arzo is just going to become unstoppable. So is Together, and even Bobby's going to get tanky enough that he's still going to be relevant as the game continues. I think one problem I see is that Overseas isn't as tanky anymore as I'd like, or he's I don't know, he's taking too much damage before they get the skirmishes they want off, and Freemuck hasn't really been able to hit any big ultimates just yet, as far as I've been able to see in this game. So this whole game plan of like nap time into Death Slam or vice versa hasn't worked out too well for them. And I think when we get to the level of if counter spells are going to be invested out of Abrahams, nap time's not going to mean anything, and neither will Death Slam.
I'm curious.
So I think Abrahams is where I'm going with scaling here.
Yeah, no, I totally see the vision on that one. I'm curious if Overseas has that Phantom Strike online just yet. As we see just a bit of push and pull there in mid. Again, you want that mid priority. You know, it's always a big focus at the 30-second mark before an urn, which is where we're at before the urn and the bridge buffs. Both teams are going to want to play for control of these high ground positions to get those buffs.
Oh, that's a big investment for Arzo, and they're not even going to get it either. This is a huge throw into this fight. They're really committing to get this pick, especially because Ern's going to be coming up in just a few seconds. But a battle at the secret shop here, I think Seattle's going to be very happy about finding this position, man.
Yeah, certainly, and looking really healthy still. Ern is ready for the taking. We'll see which team is able to get on top of it. Abrahams. Oh, that's a nice power slash, catching 2 players with that. Big damage done. The Blinding Light's being sent out, though. That's going to be chipping away at these players, but Abraham certainly looking way stronger. The health bars tell the story. Everybody from Leviathan is very, very weak at this point, and it feels like the momentum shift, even though the soul difference is pretty negligible at this stage of the game, the difference in power from the scaling, like you said, is enormous.
Let's go yellow.
Yeah, it doesn't. The thing is, the soul difference is like negligible, but it doesn't feel like it's been. Like, it doesn't feel like the soul difference really reflects how these fights are going. It feels like it's been very strong now for Abrahams when it comes to the actual fight. I think Saint honestly has been doing some really good work here with his rapid hexes. He's been catching quite a few targets in really prime positions, and even thinking, if Phantom Strike comes online, which we don't have, it seems anytime soon for Overseas. He actually went for a Witch Mail. Good luck. You Phantom Strike in, and you're just gonna get hexed once you hit a wall.
Side pressing basically every button you can to try to get out of this one. T-Base come in though and actually turning things onto Bobby, and oh my god, okay, is he gonna die from just the passive? Okay, maybe not. Very, very close. There's some barriers helping out too. That's unfortunate that Bobby doesn't get taken out there. That's gonna feel bad for Leviathan, but I'm not sure if it's gonna change too much here. Let's look at the burst damage there coming out from them, the focus fire. Bobby once again in trouble, getting targeted here by Rake, and looks like things might get turned around on Rake. It's stuck in close quarters. That's just absolutely not where you want to be as Celeste. And that's going to be a wrap here. And with mid boss up, I think this has got to be it, Jason. The beginning of the end.
Yeah, 20k in the pockets now for Abrahams. Leviathan. Honestly, I'm looking at this. I'm like, I feel like you kind of have to contest. You need to take away some of these rejues, but with a little bit of a bait and switch here, Abraham's actually going to go full steam ahead to go for the fight themselves. But catching a Sonic Sniper to Leviathan, let's put things a little bit closer to equal. Bobby returns to the fight. It's not a bad kill here at Leviathan. I mean, they commit for that. They get away. And they do delay the mid-boss, force those respawns to come in, but they're so far away.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, this is desperate. Kind of have to try to do something. Lash ult from the top. I mean, I don't know how effective this will be. We'll see. Kind of drop in on top of the rejuve crystals, and Abrahams will take every single one. Thank you very much. Lash ult not really connecting with too much, and right now this is looking clean. Abrahams, I mean, they've won this game from that mid-boss steal. If we look at the game, you know, ages ago, yeah, there's that mid-boss steal that really turned everything around.
It's just, you look back at it now, Dan, and it's just I don't remember if Saint was up for that fight with Sinclair, but if he was, a Sinclair and an Ivy, are you really going to be able to take mid-boss from that? And as we saw, the answer is just, it's just no. If anything, Leviathan should have baited the mid-boss and then turned for a fight and then maybe finish mid-boss after that. But that one little play is definitely going to haunt them here. And we can now take a look at some of these items. OC's a glass cannon, great, but the problem is you're not going to be able to stack that anytime soon because of how this game is playing out.
Yeah, totally. And you know, one item choice, you know, I was looking at as well. I mentioned the Abrams.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty
I'm so
brutal.
sorry, Dan.
Pretty brutal. No, I feel you on that one. It's not fun. The Celeste, alright. Yeah. If your Celeste can't get away, you definitely have some problems. But I was just going to mention instead of Phantom Strike, we actually saw Witchmail coming out instead, which is probably makes a lot more sense, I think, with the way the game's been going. But oof, nice connection from Bobby on some of these Civ daggers. Oh, they're getting absolutely just pushed so hard right now.
I can have to see the vision of Witchmail because it's about longevity in fights and not looking for a pick necessarily because they have the Lash and the Rem to facilitate the pick. So he just wants to be able to get his Siphon Light back off cooldown as quick as possible. And Witchmail definitely facilitates that. But at 30k, down almost 30k souls, actually over 30k souls now, the first shrine going on down is really not matter what you buy anymore unless you can get some picks to come on through. And Overseas has been locked on down. Shard Inspiration coming on through with a stolen Death Slam. And together doesn't want to let the big blue man run away. But he will survive for now back into base. He's done his job.
Yeah, such a great recovery here from Abrahams in this game as they destroy the base. I think we all know how this one is going to end at this point. 3 Rejuve Crystals still up and running, so every base guardian is dealt with. The shrines being dealt with, and to be honest, they might just stay in the base. They have half the duration of the Rejuves left as well, so those rabbit hexes so irritating. The lockdown here is painful. Blinding Light gets sent out, but obviously not going to really do enough work here. Right at the final stages, trying to get back onto the... Can we just kill this shrine already? Together's getting just knocked back and forth by all sorts of stuff. I think he got hit by the nap tie, by the curse, by all sorts of shenanigans.
He's back out of the gate with another fine strike on into the ground. 3-man connection with the Crimson Slash on top of that. Just a devastating time here for Leviathan, but this is a chance, honestly. Abrahams, no Rejuves left. They have a couple of low-on players here. Leviathan, there's definitely an opportunity to turn this around, but they need to confirm these kills quickly and look for some pushes. They need to, more importantly, cleanly, if they can do so. You can see Bobby just dashing on through multiple targets. Oh, he's caught out. That's the big carry. Leviathan down and out. And Overseas, you're looking good with most of your charged movement, but it's not going to save you here. I don't think we're quite see the finish of the game, but Abrahams have to have a ton of money to spend now.
And the troopers, whilst all that was going on, they knocked the first patron down, so... Or the first stage down, so... It's definitely not fun here. Abraham's 3 players dead, but they've got the whole map. The urn is it's a comeback urn, actually. That would be quite nice to get, but the pressure is still here on the Hidden King as the fight really just won't stop. Leviathan getting cleaned up here, and it looks like Abrahams might just be able to finish things here right now. Jason, there's no one else to defend this one. I mean, Irazumi is somewhere trying to stop this one, just dancing around the pit, but it doesn't matter. They can kind of ignore him. Another player dropping in there. Ray gets onto the action. That does make it invulnerable here, so they'll have to deal with one of those players. However, OCs and Overseas also coming back up, so they might not be able to finish it after all.
Seeing Bobby stick around though. Maybe gets the catch. If he can kill OCs, it's pretty much a game over. Overseas actually charged out. I mean, the thing is, they realize we have to fight. It's do or die time. Arn's gonna rejoin the fight once again. Boundless Spirit, Transcendent cooldown. Did everything in this kit he needs to absolutely punish Leviathan. But they're not going to confirm any of these kills.
Yeah, definitely a little bit sketchy here, but it does seem like there's no problems ultimately for Abrahams as they push back into the base, looking to finish things off here as they clear out the remainder of Leviathan, trying to just survive in the pit here. Rigake as well as Fremont, or rather Overseas on the Abrams, just trying to stay in the pit. That's really the only objective, but it is looking really rough here. Seismic Slam comes out, but that's trying to escape, but goodbye Overseas. There's a good effort. More players diving into the pit, but again, it still feels inevitable here as Leviathan are not letting up on this, or rather Abrams not letting up on this one. Arzo pumping the damage. There's a double tornado coming on as well. Couple more kills. Osi's gone. Hirazumi gone. And that is the game gone. Abrahams picking it up, and they are going to get themselves into the money match here for the EU shift.
37 minutes and 54 seconds. That's all it took. Abrahams lock it in. They didn't need to push mid together to get it done. Kaplan, the mid boss, though, was kind of the game-changing moment here. You called it out in the moment. Can you walk me through? Because if you're like a beginner, it looks like they're doing everything right. You had 5 players down for Leviathan down at the mid boss. How do you let it go in the hands of Abrahams?
Well, I think we have maybe a replay of it that we could take a look at and kind of walk through it. But I think the problem was that they took too long to make the decision to go fight the mid boss. Overseas got too low that I think he basically died right after Seismic Impact. And then again, you're fighting into an Ivy who can just stomp on top of your entire team. I don't remember if Saint was alive. If he was, with how he played this whole game, I'm pretty sure he hit a nutty rabbit hex. But it's not easy. Yeah, they didn't have together. They didn't have the shadow transformation, so you have the invulnerability to take the rejuves, but they still had a lot of other things in their kit to facilitate the take.
DDK, was Sinclair brought out to counter somebody, or is he just a good character?
I think Sinclair is kind of nice because of the potential ults, obviously, that can be stolen. I think there's also a lot of good mobility and split pushing that's possible. I think there's a lot of utility for the Sinclair in general. So I actually don't think it's a bad pick. It's also quite strong in lane as well. You get really good poke. But I think like Jason was kind of highlighting in the game, something that Saint managed to do really effectively in a lot of the team fights was ensuring that the rabbit hexes were just timed like to perfection, and that can really control the fights by disrupting them and giving your team a really big edge. So I think Saint definitely the support act in more ways than one that really made the difference.
Absolutely. Let's take a look here at some of our highlights, and of course our sidekick of game 1. This is the EU Challenger. And shout out to Lotu, by the way. He's filling in as our production button pushers. What do we call him? Director tonight? Yeah, he's the man behind the buttons. Anyway, here is that big play, the mid boss at 25 minutes. Walk me through the chaos.
Yeah, so look Overseas. He's in the pit. He's already below half HP. He's on like a third health. All you have is Seismic Impact. They have Sinclair. He's here in the vicinity. This you should just stopped. You should just stopped and went for a fight instead, because you have the man advantage. Together's not here, and if they commit to it, he Seismic Impacts up. I don't know if we have actually the position of what Sinclair is. You see Saint actually is around the vicinity. Actually, he does get a rabbit hex off onto Overseas after the Seismic Impact, so there's no chance for him to actually go for the punch. I mean, it was a bad call. The thing is, those can make or break games for you. And for Leviathan, unfortunately, it definitely broke their game here. We've seen it happen multiple times across every team. And Abrahams is definitely one of those teams that have made those mistakes in the past too.
Dan, as we go back in time, this is 17 minutes into the game. We were just 4K souls separating the two squads. Leviathan had an early upper hand. Then we saw the mid-boss fight. But who shined as an individuals today? Because these are familiar faces from EU.
Yeah, I think of course, Arzo did a great job on Mirage. I think that goes without saying. Kind of did his work throughout the whole game, stayed on parity with OCs even when they were behind. Arzo was actually still even with OCs' farm. And then we also had a great performance from Together, just being very mobile, very good on the roam with the Yamato, which I think is essential as a Yamato player. And I think, like Jason said, seeing him get more active like that is really encouraging, because Together is so good at that, especially on Yamato. And Saint, I think, was the other big standout for me on the Sinclair. I think if I had to look at 3 players, I'd probably highlight those 3.
ZXC Bobby coming in, allowing Together to flex over to the Yamato while he plays Shiv, a dangerous front line. The Bruisers doing damage. Mirage topping everybody when it came to souls. And it's only a matter of time before Leviathan taps out. 37 minutes, 54 seconds was the final game time. That is the time to beat. Do we have a faster game when we get to the EU finals with Zergy in the mix here for low-key W, Kaplan?
You know, I could not tell you. I don't know what shape Zergy is in, the Goon Master himself, but I'll tell you what, if I had faith in any M1 player to come into a team and be able to defend a title, I'd definitely put it on him. But I think one thing that to pay attention to is, as Dan already pointed out, like, I think Together had a really good game. He was one of the original like OG Yamato players in the EU region. Then he kind of shined away from it for the most part within his own team, but he looked like a completely different player compared to the last week. So I really got to give a big shout out to him in particular.
And was it the power slash during slides, or is it just Yamato still the business?
Just him. He's just him, I'd say.
Yeah, there it is. Game 1 is in the books. We have our stats coming in just a little bit. In the meantime, do we have our official Shopify sidekick ready? Did you guys decide? DDK, who would you nominate as an official sidekick from Game 1?
I'm probably Saint. I feel like we're kind of teasing at that already. I don't know who it's going to be. I feel like it should be Saint.
Kaplan?
I'm gonna say Tass, not because I don't agree with Saint, but because we have more flashy clips of Tass is what I'm seeing over with our production team. But I think definitely, like, obviously Saint had great rabbit hexes, but to be fair, Tass is what started all off, man. He deserves the sidekick of the match, because if he wasn't hitting those stone forms as well as the hexes on top of that, they wouldn't have had the ability to take that mid boss and actually get back in the game.
Once stuck on Paradox, now flexing over to Ivy, Taz is going to earn your Shopify sidekick of the match, and that is Game 1 in the books. We have our bracket ready, and we come back from break. It is going to be the EU Grand Final matchup. This should be a good one. Low-key W with Zergy in the mix, taking on Abrahams, who have officially made it to a Grand Final without a DQ. DDK, they're unbeaten. Can they keep it up? Do they get their characters? Why should people stay tuned?
They should stay tuned because Abraham's looking really good. Loki W have been going from strength to strength, and they are even better. Or are they? Is their streak going to get broken? You got to stay tuned to find out.
All right, I'm told we've got a lot more highlights coming your way, and then the break is on its way. In the meantime, drop those primes. Thank you to all the new members over on youtube.com/@DeadlockNightShift, and of course, twitch.tv/DeadlockNightShift. We're coming your way every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's the EU final, followed by NA. We're not even halfway into the show. Stay locked.